Once a year they gather, thousands upon thousands, to a paradise hidden far away. Who are these people? They are the followers of the most hated band in the world. They are Insane Clown Posse's Juggalo family, and they are psychotic.
We are at the gathering of the Juggalos.
Well, hello, boys and girls, come on and see the show. It's the mystical.
Gathering to me is something that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
This is a giant family reunion.
There are people of all ages that are fans.
These kids out here, they got their own way of talking.
Right here, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop.
People come here and their lives change. Maybe you meet some people, maybe you don't. Maybe you fall in love. Everything happens here.
You're going to keep bringing it up? I fell in love one time. They put on their website, this will be a good place to chop off some heads.
This in-depth tell-all documentary is one of the most interesting, powerful, and heartfelt films of the decade. The secrets are unlocked about the most controversial music festival on the planet and the most misunderstood fan base of all time.
But it's all good, healthy fun, you know? We got to express ourselves.
Welcome to 20 and 17 right here on the Fago Lovers Network. I'm Brandon Moore joining you as always. Chapter 14 coming at you, and if you couldn't tell by the intro from a family underground documentary, it's the gathering of the Juggalos, the Cave and Rock era, which is really an infamous era of the gathering of the Juggalos and really what made the gathering of the Juggalos a worldwide phenomenon. So we'll get into the gathering of the Juggalos right now with a couple sounds I had from it. I said the gathering of the Juggalos was pretty much infamous for its time at Cave and Rock. There was tons of things going around about what people had seen, what people had heard going around, so much so that it started making its way onto mainstream shows like The Simpsons.
All our lottery money gone. If I ever see that Carl again, I'm gonna freeze him, chop him up into ice cubes, and scoop him into the urinal trough at the gathering of the Juggalos. Guys, give Carl a chance.
And there you hear right there Mo talking on The Simpsons. As I said, the gathering of the Juggalos. Once it got to Cave and Rock, they put out the Family Underground, where they filmed it in 2008, put it out right before the 2009 gathering, which was the 10th annual, and that was the most highly attended gathering ever, 20,000 plus people, and I'd speculate another 2,000 to 3,000 probably snuck in to that bitch whenever it was going, because that place was packed for that gathering. It was hard to even find a camping spot that wasn't in just a direct field of sunlight and heat for that gathering. It was pretty dope, but like I'm sure you've heard about the gatherings at Cave and Rock, it was just pretty much all-out freedom, and instead of describing it and trying to put it into words, I actually got one of my homies that went with me to the 2009 and 2010 gathering to stop by, and we're going to share some stories about the gathering Cave and Rock era. Break down some of the classic memories I have from the gathering of the Juggalos era from Cave and Rock. Myself and Mr. Ryan Rogers got to attend those two over in Cave and Rock. What up?
Good to be here, man. I love what you've been doing on the show. It's nice to finally make an appearance. Glad to be here to talk about some gathering memories.
Had some classic stories at the gathering. It started off just finding the damn place. Well, I mentioned it was super close. It was only about a 90-minute drive. It ended up being about a 3-hour adventure before we found the actual gathering.
It all came out of the blue. Like, we weren't ready for it or anything like that. We were just like, hey, the gathering's like an hour and a half away. Like, you want to go? I was like, all right, hell, let's hop in the car. Let's do the damn thing. And
then we get there, no problems. Like, we find the actual place. Like, we know it's the actual place because we've seen the Family Underground video where it shows, like, I believe it's like Ice Cube or somebody pulling up to the thing. We're like, this is the exact surroundings. We know we're here.
Yeah, this is the road.
But there's literally no sign anywhere that says, hey, the gathering is here. There's not an arrow. There's not a marquee. There's not a ninja standing there telling you to turn right there. There was I think it was Southern Baptist Bible Retreat sign.
Yeah, there was definitely a Bible camp.
Was actually the thing that was right near the turn-in. So, fortunately, though, after we drove up and down the
probably about 6 times back and forth.
And funny enough, our other homies, Beans and Felicia, who went, they left from the same place here in Owensboro, or heading from the same direction, and they had to use a ferry to get there.
Yeah, they went the back way around. Like, they took like a way around, led them where we kept getting to the river and then turning around. And they went the other way, got on a ferry, and crossed the river to get to where we were. And I was like, how the hell do we go from like pretty much the same general area to end up two different ways?
The ferry exit was actually where we kept driving to whenever we were like, well, we're out of land to travel. We need to turn around.
There's a big-ass body of water in front of us. That's definitely not the gathering.
And we need to try to find some other direction to go because there's now water in front of us. So luckily enough, on the 5th or 6th time, everybody that's been there knows that hotel on that strip right before you turn into the gathering. There was actually Juggalos that had rented out those hotel rooms for the weekend, and they knew that it was difficult to find. So they were literally standing right by the road, like waving people down once they'd seen you like 4 times and knew that you were trying to look for the gathering and hadn't found it and were telling you where to turn in at. So once we finally figured out where to turn in at, you take like a literal 20-minute drive on gravel road.
This crazy backwoods road. Feel like Leatherface is going to come out and wreck your car.
And you're wondering the whole time if like you need to turn off because there's these random branch offs in the road and you don't have any map and you don't have any idea where you were going and there's no cell phone coverage.
Zero.
I haven't met unless you're standing by the hog or a porta-john, which we'll get into later. But there's no cell phone coverage at all there, so you can't call your homie and ask you where the hell to turn at. And even if you had cell phone coverage before you got into the actual gathering ground, he doesn't because he's sitting in the gathering ground where it's cell phone coverage hell there. But as soon as we found the place, I do believe it was getting pretty late in the day, so we were like, the hell with setting up campsites.
Oh, it was mad late.
We'll do that later, because we had to wait till after you got off work. I do believe it was like 5 p.m.-ish, so by the time we got there, it was at least 8. And then we were like, the hell with setting up campsites. We're just going to go see what's cracking at the gathering. Literally 3 steps into the actual gathering, once you get out of the parking lot area and you actually cross into the gathering where you have to show your medallion to get in or wristband or whatever. Literally 3 steps in, we see a juggalo with a naked juggalette on his shoulder selling ecstasy. We're at the gathering.
Crossing the drug bridge right out the gate, and it's just like, here's a dude with a naked chick on his shoulders selling ecstasy. And it's like, wow, this was what I expected. I heard about the drug bridge before, but I didn't quite think it would just be people walking up and down the road, be like, hey, I got ecstasy. Hey, I've got weed. Hey, this, that, and the other. So, I mean, we just instantly bought some X and just, instantly turned into a good time.
And then after we walked around the gathering for a little while and everything had pretty much shut down for that night as far as main stage, by the time we got there, we walked around all the late night parties and things like that. Rolling on X, decide to go back to the campsite and try to set up the tent. Worked on that for about 8 hours until daylight.
Sun was coming up.
We literally had that tent put up 4 different ways, but it didn't look like it was supposed to on the box. So we just kept deconstructing it. And then, like other ninjas who put up their tent in 30 minutes have noticed that we've now been working on this motherfucker for 6 hours. So they start coming over there. So they know how we don't know what the hell we're doing with camping equipment. But these other ninjas literally set their campsite up in 30 minutes, and it's the same exact tent as we have. And they all come over there and start messing with it. They're like, dude, you're missing parts. So the whole time we were sitting there messing with a tent, and we should have just left it when we had it up the 4 different ways that we had it up where it was working. It was like, nope, obviously that's not right because it doesn't look like that on the box. But we were working with a tent that was missing a few pieces, and that pretty much took up the first day at the gathering. After that, I remember the next day, Beans and Felicia got there, so we started rolling around with that. Like I said, there's no way to describe the gathering in audio form. If you want to know like what the actual gathering is, just search it in on YouTube. Go like 2008 to 2012 or 13. It was
the most freedom you could ever experience in your life. I mean, you could just walk around and do anything you wanted to, and there were people, just booths set up where they were rolling blunts, or you could just go up and buy a blunt, or you could, I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. It was absolutely insane. I always thought of Woodstock as being just a crazy place because I heard they handed out ecstasy, and I was like, how the hell did anybody ever manage to just hand out ecstasy at a concert? And then when you get to the gathering, you're like, oh, that's how they do it, because there's these places where it's private property and cops can't be around. There's literally booths set up by the main stage of hippie chicks who was breaking down like pounds of weed and rolling them into blunts, them up,
and big doobies and selling them for $5 a piece. You had, like you said, you talked about the drug bridge, and you think it's always exaggerated whenever you see it on a documentary or hear people talk about it, but literally. It was 80 motherfuckers just chilling. And some of them had signs around their neck that told you what they had up for sale. And someone was just yelling it every time they seen somebody new pass by. And literally, you could sample the weed. You could see what it smelled like, and the ninja would tell you what it did. And
there wasn't anything you couldn't find on this bridge either. I mean, like literally, you name a drug, and they had it on the bridge. I mean, I guarantee you, there was nothing that you couldn't find if you wanted it. Not that we dabbled in everything, but I definitely, acid, X, weed. I mean, people bought. I know friends that bought shrooms, and I mean, anything you could imagine.
And then anything you could barter whenever you were down a few days in, and we're down on the loot one time, and was just bartering shots of 101.
Well, that's
Wild
the only
Turkey.
thing I had with me was I'd eaten everything else. I was broke. I was down to like a carton of cigarettes and a half gallon of Wild Turkey 101, and I just carried that bitch around. I carried the whole bottle around it. Well, the first day I just carried the flask, and I would be like, "Hey, take a shot of this, and I'll help me hit your blunt."
And if you remember the gathering temperature, then the flask was metal, and the flask was outside temperature.
Yeah.
So you're drinking super hot
Like 100
101
degrees.
anyway, Wild Turkey, on top of coming out of a flask that was probably 112
Oh,
degrees
yeah.
setting in the sun.
But it worked.
It was the first time going to the actual camping gathering, so we didn't bring a lot of ice. We was out of ice by we was out of ice.
It was a tub of water 2 hours in.
We was out of ice before we even stopped fucking with the tent trying to put it up initially, before the first day was even over. So we were out of ice by then.
Yeah.
We weren't trying to pay $10 or $8 for a bag of ice. We bought one bag and tried to make it last like a whole day.
It was so hot.
There was nothing that was cold in there. Yeah, the first one was crazy. It was
so
also
hot.
the most
peanut butter melted, and it was liquid peanut butter. Like you pull out a piece of bread, and you didn't have to get a knife or nothing. You just turn it. It was just liquid peanut butter, man. It was so crazy.
The funny thing is, right before you discovered it was liquid peanut butter, we discovered that we forgot to bring any knives to be able to put the peanut butter out. So you're like, oh, well, maybe I'll just scrape the peanut butter with the bread, and then you open it, and it's like, oh, it's liquid. It just pour it into it like it's been in the microwave.
Yeah, it was nuts.
That's the type of heat that was at the gathering. Like, there was so many people that, and that was the 10th annual. That was the most highly attended gathering ever. 20,000 people were there, and probably another 3,000 snuck in because a lot of people were sneaking in by then and knew all the tricks to get in. And you really couldn't find a good camping spot unless you got there early on the first day. So by the time we got there, all the spots in the shade were taken out. We were pretty much best described as a field of heat is what we were standing in for 4 days.
Empty field, no trees, sun beating down on you. We slept in the car. Like we were talking about, we got the tent set up, and the plan was to sleep in the car anyway. The first night, or the second night, I guess I should say, I was so wasted coming back from the campsite that I stopped at Beans and Felicia's. They had a campfire going, and I stole their lawn chair after they went to crash and drug it back to the campsite area that we were in, and it felt real nice because it was like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. So I just pulled out the lawn chair, laid down on it, and I went to the trunk and I pulled out I had a Halloween costume back there, so I pulled out a Batman cape, big black cloth, right, and just laid down on the lawn chair and passed out. Of course, Ward, you slept in the car that night, and next morning I wake up, and then the sun's beating down, and I got this giant black cloth on me, and it's like melting, it's so hot, and I do like an Undertaker sit up. And then, Ward's in the car.
I woke up 15 minutes before this from the heat because I'm inside the car, so it's getting hella hot in there. And I'm sitting there breaking up some weed, getting ready to wake and bake. And literally out of my peripheral left vision, I'm sitting in the passenger side, and he's got his setup where he's sleeping outside the driver's side door. So just out of my peripherals, I see a guy Undertaker set up all of a sudden with a Batman. If the Batman thing was
black cloth,
the Batman thing was around his head because he'd been using it as a cover when he's asleep. So he raises up looking like half Undertaker, half Batman, and then does the Kane Jason look over quickly to me. I'm like, oh shit! And I didn't know where he was the last night. I didn't know if he was in a Juggalos tent or chilled with Beans or whatever. But now he had brought his own chair and set up a place to sleep outside the car, and I was scared shitless there for a second. Whatever, I was like, oh shit! I didn't know if it was a cop popping up out of nowhere with a SWAT team mask on or not. But nope.
I was trying to use the car as shade. I was like, if I put the chair as close to the car door as I can, when the sun comes up from this way, the car will block it. So I'm like really close to the car, and he's in the seat next to me. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize he was in there. And then we were just, I'm literally a foot away from each other. Whenever I raise up because I'm so hot, I'm immediately sit up. It was hilarious.
I definitely understand the tactic of sleeping close to the car. The second gathering we went to, we got there late again, and it was so late at night there wasn't nothing going on. So we just pretty much showed up and walked around for a little while, got crunk, and then came back to the camp area, and I slept under the car because I didn't want any ninjas running me over, trying to pull up and get next to us and not see me and run me over. So I put a sheet around me so people would kind of see the white sheet on the grass, and then slept as close to the car as I could possibly get, so I wasn't woken up.
We had a lot better setup the second time around, though. We had a little bit of tree coverage and a canopy thing, and we knew what we were doing a little bit more after the first one was just a complete and total. winging it adventure, and it was absolutely awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was the first one was definitely the most fun, just because you'd never experienced anything like that. Whenever you were going to just regular concerts or any kind of festival, Ozfest, Lollapalooza, anything like it, don't go down like that. You just can't describe the amount of freedom just walking around there, not having to worry about anything. Like, people were doing whatever they wanted to do. People were selling whatever they wanted to sell, taking whatever they wanted to take, and you didn't have to worry about a cop showing up. Like the gathering this year in Oklahoma, they were pestered by jaywalking. They were getting jaywalking tickets and things like that away. And I think it's time to bring it back to Cave in Rock for that. I understand taking it away because they had ran it like 5 years, and it had gotten really out of hand as far as 40% of the people weren't even juggalos showing up at this point. They just heard about this crazy concert going on where you could smoke weed and take and sell any kind of drugs you wanted to. I remember there was a stabbing there, and it was actually 2 hot dog vendors, but it got spun into a stabbing at the gathering. But after 5 years of running at the same place, it all kinds of runs together like Groundhog Day. But now they've taken a few years off, and it wouldn't be those people, just the 40% showing up just to show up for a party and to get effed up. I think then, if they had it this year, next year back at Cave in Rock, I think you'd see just a lot of juggalos there, not the mainstreamers just trying to get there and party like you did.
Now, after they did it one year, it would bring all the idiots back. But, if you just did it every once in a blue moon and didn't, I don't know, kind of kept, not necessarily low-key, but, kept it in the family, then I think, you wouldn't have as big a problem.
Because that Family Underground DVD got on YouTube and got millions of views of people being like, holy shit, there's something called a drug bridge where people just sell anything, and there's parties going on in the woods. We need to be there for that, which I can't blame them. It's what got us there. We seen that DVD. It was like, why are we missing that? So,
we're also hardcore juggalos, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we
weren't going there slamming heroin like some people were doing.
We weren't trying to go there and just get fucked up. We were there to enjoy it. I was there at every show. I watched them all. I mean, as many as I possibly could. We went to Rada's. I mean, shit. We Lotus, all that shit. I mean, we were there at the crazy crack of dawn shows and stuff. We watched Guar at one night at fucking 3 a.m. or whatever it was, 5 a.m. Shit was fucking cool.
Vanilla Ice, just all the classic guys. And unfortunately, Mess Head PE both times. They were on the agenda both times. And I remember one time it was actually during the Big Money Rustlers premiere, as they were premiering that movie, and they were premiering on a big screen. And it was at the end of the night. And pretty much watched Big Money Rustlers, and the plan was to head over to Head PE, and it was pretty much wrapping up right as we got there. So missed Head PE both years, but we seen them. They actually toured with ICP during the Bang Pow Boom tour at Pier 51 in Louisville and opened for them. So we got to get the Head PE in. We talked about the drug bridge. Another funny thing about the drugs there is the prices on the last day, because nobody wants to leave with those things, because there's literally cops waiting outside that thing to pull over any cars. Both years that we left, the car in front of us got pulled over leaving the gathering. So on the last day of the gathering, you can get things that were formerly $30 for now $10 to $5.
Yeah, depending on how desperate they were.
If you ever want to smoke a pound of weed, just rolled up in a blunt with a bunch of your homies, wait till the last day of the gathering. You probably buy a pound of weed for about $200. So cheap that we were contemplating burying things and coming back later. That's how cheap it was. We were trying to figure out plans to be able to purchase those, bury them somewhere, GPS them, and then come back a few weeks later when the fuzz aren't just hanging out there waiting. But then the gathering of the Juggalos at Cave in Rock is something that I hope they bring back, because if you didn't get to experience, it's nothing you can really put into words, in my opinion. Also, we got to, on the second time, we're moving on to the 2010 one, where we pulled up, and pretty much right as we got there, it was super late at night, and we walked onto the Juggalo Island video, which is cool to see. Whenever you see that on YouTube now, or anytime you see that video, it's always good memories of, hey, I was at that gathering.
Yeah, we were there.
We were right there at that video shoot for the nighttime one, whenever the fire was going. That was pretty cool to go to. Also, another thing at the 2009 or 2010 one that really infamous is the Atiba Tequila altercation, where they had like a ladies' night, and she had been on Twitter trying to perpetrate being a juggalo, and like Juggalettes. As soon as she was announced, Juggalettes had a problem with it. And then she started going on Twitter trying to act like she was a Juggalette and down with the clowns, and she spelled clown with a K, which you're kind of notorious of being known as ICP. You probably spell clown with a C, not a K. But yeah, they had been plotting on her. They had been fermenting some bodily waste in places for a few days in bags to throw at her.
That's fucking crazy.
And to Tequila's credit, she got up there and took shots to the head from everything they could throw. It stayed up there to the point that somebody finally yanked her off stage. Once they yanked her off stage, they took her to one of those little trailers. If you've ever been to a gathering, you know those trailers that are up by the sides of the stage. And Juggalos attacked that bitch like it was the Thriller video.
Yeah,
you remember where all
crazy.
the zombies are trying to get in?
It looked like a horror movie.
Like, luckily, Shaggy Two Dope happened to be on the seat. He told him to chill out, not try to kill her or anything. He pretty much saved her life that night. Moving on to another couple that called some of the hell from the Juggalos, which, if you don't hear the full story, you're like, damn, the Juggalos hit Redman and Method Man with a beer can. And yes, they did hit Redman and Method Man with a beer can, but that was 40.
They hit just about everybody with beer cans.
Yeah.
So, or every show.
And they at least try to. I don't know if they succeed every time with as clean a hit as they got. And it was a full beer can, which is a prick move to do.
They
at least
did
drink
get
the
him
beer
together.
out of it if you're going to throw it at them. But it was 45 minutes into a set where they never broke out any of the Blackout album, which if you know where you're playing at, which they obviously didn't because they kept saying, "What up, Illinois?" And then the Juggalos chanted, "Family, family," at them, trying to show, how much love they got for them. They said, "Fuck family, this is about hip-hop." And the whole mood of about 15,000 people changed from that. I'm honestly surprised he didn't catch more than a beer can.
Yeah,
in
they
the
definitely
head.
didn't know where they were and like what was going on. They just thought it was like a show in Illinois that they were doing, like it was like a festival or something. I don't think they realized that it was the gathering of the Juggalos and it.
And the thing is, Psychopathic sends a DVD and like paperwork, like a brochure to tell you what you're at. You're not performing to like Illinois fans or St. Louis or one specific city. These are Juggalos that come in from all over the world to go to these things. So don't do that because they've seen other artists do that and ended up getting pelted with shit. And they apparently didn't watch the video or didn't care or thought they were just fresh enough to where they could go out there and do their thing. Their set list was horrible. I didn't recognize any of it. And I'm a Redman and Method Man.
Yeah, I
Wu-Tang
love
fan.
Red Meth, and I didn't recognize a whole lot of songs.
I may have recognized 3 songs out of that whole lineup.
They did the Rockweiler, and that's maybe the only one that I really recognized.
They must have been pushing their new stuff that they had coming out at the time or something because it was not a wise choice for songs to sing. And if it also happened to Andrew WK to where he started his set with some slow songs where he was just kind of like motivational talking. He ended up catching batteries and coins to the head before he could really get into the good songs. So he never really got to do that either. Bubba Sparks as well let his DJ go on and mix for like 15 minutes before his performance and then came out and say, "Y'all don't know Bubba." And what they did know is how to hit Bubba with shit. 'Cause they got him together as soon as he tried to run his mouth about it. Try to think of if we've covered everything. I do believe we have, other than one epic story, which was pretty awesome, was whenever you was calling the PO from the actual gathering to check in.
Yeah. I was on probation. I wasn't technically supposed to leave the city, let alone the state. But like I said, the gathering of the Juggalos was all last second. So we just, we're like, fuck it. What the fuck does it matter? So, but I had to make weekly calls to this guy because I hadn't, well, actually, no, I take that back. Let me rephrase that because I actually hadn't gotten onto probation yet. I was like still on the line where they were trying to get me to narc on people.
And so you had to call in to report that you had a narc on or not.
Anybody to narc on or not. So like every fucking day I had to go and find a porta-john where there was cell phone reception. And I don't know, I mean, if you know the gathering, the porta-johns are not necessarily a place you want to hang out in. But something about the radioactivity over there gave you a little bit of phone reception.
The shit coming out of those porta-johns was so radioactive that it was drawing cell phone reception.
But anyways, I had to sit in there and I had to call this cop and be like, hey, I haven't found anybody to buy weed from. I don't know anybody to narc on. And then either they're going to tell you to turn yourself in or they're going to tell you to call back the next day. So it was just like every day I'd have to make time out of my schedule and you'd be in there talking, be like, yeah, blah blah. I haven't found this. I haven't done this.
Whoop.
Exactly. Family. What's that? Oh, I'm watching a movie, man. It's just the TV. What's going on? Just crazy concert sounds going on outside. I'm surprised they didn't just tell me to turn myself in right there on the spot. It was pretty fucking hilarious.
Luckily, they weren't able to tell via location GPS where the cell phone was calling in at that time.
It was still pretty early on in cell phone.
In the cell phone game, it's 2009, so yeah, it wasn't a lot. And plus, coming from Hagen Rock, the only place for phone reception is by the Porta-Johns or by the Hagen Rock statue, which is like just a statue of the pig. And for some reason, if you stand by it, you get phone reception.
Another funny story. Whenever you were talking about Method Man getting hit with the beer, it reminded me of how at the middle of who was playing at the time? I can't remember, but somebody had taken one of those giant jugs of Captain Morgan. It was a giant glass mug. I mean, like
One of those
like a half gallon.
Yeah,
or
half
whatever
gallon.
it is.
Half gallon
like
glass
it's like
bottle.
it's a jug with a handle on it,
Yeah.
you know? And somebody had drank the whole thing, and then they were throwing it up into the sky. And, like, I don't know if you've held one of these things, but they weigh, like, you know, every bit of 5 pounds at least. And that's 5 pounds of solid glass.
Solid glass.
Flying up into the air. And then, like...
Over the mosh pit.
Yeah, and then it would come crashing down, and you'd be like, oh, shit. And then 5 minutes later, there it is again.
Throw it again.
Holy shit. Like, I always was curious if, like, anybody ever seen what happened to it. Like, if it got shattered or if it wrecked somebody's head or, like, whatever happened. Like, I mean, and I would love to hear if anybody ever found out about that giant glass Morgan.
If anybody remembers Captain Morgan bottle from the main stage mosh pit area that was being launched repeatedly throughout the main stage.
If you got smacked in the head with it.
Drop a comment at fagolovers.net and let us know what happened to it, or if you seen anybody getting their head taken off with it, because we just couldn't believe that there was a half-gallon bottle flying around somehow.
A 2-liter makes sense. A beer can even makes sense. Even a beer can full of rock.
A person? I can get down with all those flying through
a giant 5-pound thing of glass flying through the sky.
That's too hardcore right there. That was some craziness. I think that's about as high as we're going to get on the stories. It's a good place to leave off the 2009 and 2010 gathering of the Juggalos. And there you hear me and Mr. Ron Rogers talking about our experiences at the 10th annual and 11th annual gathering of the Juggalos. Cave and Rock was live. I couldn't describe it, just sitting here talking about it by myself, so I had to bring in my homie. Much props to my homie for showing up to do the show. Chapter 14, Gathering of the Juggalos. But since it's being dropped on October 30th, which is Devil's Night, we're also going to throw in some Hollow Wicket bonus flavor coming up on this episode, where we're going to pick up. We stopped on 98 in the original Hollow Wicket episode, so we're going to pick up some later Hollow Wickets and play some flavor for them. But before we get done talking about the gathering of the Juggalos, I want to play Danny Brown. You remember him from the When I'm Clowning remix video, a Detroit rapper. I'm a big fan of this guy on stage and off stage. Let's hear about his experience at the gathering of the Juggalos. This is him actually driving up that crazy Michael Myers, Texas Chainsaw Massacre looking surroundings of the gathering that we were talking about.
Y'all don't want to hit this?
I'm good.
Don't nobody smoke dope? They called me to talk at the underground. What? They tried to talk me out of it at first. Huh?
Tried to talk you out of it?
The booking agent, Josh. But I just can't, you know. I'm not scared of no Juggalos. Juggalos good people, man. They might do little weird shit to their own self, but they not gonna do no crazy shit, bro. Like, they know. Man, this is where Jason live at. This is where the horror movies happen, man. It's like going to a plantation or something. Like, we might get here and never come back, America. Like, this might be a setup. It's like a new form of slavery or something. We might go to the gathering and we not come back. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Can't call nobody.
Look at this road. Like, come on, man. Me personally, I'm here to have fun. I think it's gonna be great. Might get some Juggalo bitches. It's all good.
Yeah, man. Play our shit and hopefully they like it.
I'm calling now. Stop. Yeah, just like Kobe. Yeah, calling now. Stop. Yeah, bitch, you know me. You're falling now. Take game now, your hoes been showing now. Stop. What the fuck I got to lie about? Stop. Stop. What the fuck I got to lie about? Stop. Stop. What the fuck I got to lie about? Stop. Stop. What the fuck I got to lie about?
Yo, what's up? I'm Danny Brown. And we are chilling at the gathering of the motherfucking Juggalos. Shit is tight right now. We just walking around and shit, looking around and shit, seeing what's popping. You know what I'm saying? Mad tents and shit. Everybody just chilling and shit. You know what I'm saying?
And there you hear Danny Brown rolling up to the gathering of the Juggalos before his performance. And actually, after his gathering of the Juggalos performance, he's actually went on to really talk highly about the gathering of the Juggalos, ICP, and the Juggalos themselves.
all
Danny
night.
Brown is here.
Yo, what up, dude?
You never done the Juggalos, have you?
Yeah, I did the Gathering of the Juggalos.
How was that?
That was the best festival I ever played, and I played them all.
Did people bug the fuck out for you?
Nah, because I played kind of early in the day, you know, and then, you know, it kind of like beat the case, did my thing, and was out. But I got that chance to actually just go around the festival and just have
How
fun.
was that? Just tell me what it's like.
It's the craziest shit you ever seen in your life, man.
When Danny Brown is there and he's not even the top 50 percentile of weirdest people there,
Mhm.
you were like normal. People
It's
look like you were in a business suit.
It's like, I feel like it's like a, I mean, it's so, the worst part about it is just so far. It's in Cave Rock, Illinois, and you're taking these dirt roads for miles and miles. Like, if your car was to break down, God bless, and, you know, God forbid anything happen, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know what you're going to do to get up out of there, but once we got there, they actually have like, I was trying to be clean too. I wasn't trying to really do no Molly, and then I just wanted to stay on point this day. But yeah, they had this bridge that you go to, and it's called Drug Bridge, and that's where everybody go, and, you know, they barter their drugs, whatever. They would trade them or sell them or whatever they want to do, because, you know, you're there for, you know, 3 whole days, you know. So it's just
So what
crazy.
happened when you went to Drug Bridge?
Drugs. I mean, I dabbled a little, and then, you know, before I knew it, I was just riding around in a golf cart, and it was just like naked girls chasing my golf cart everywhere I went.
Why are there always naked girls around?
What
when
is
you-
it?
like-
I mean, and a lot of people, they think, you know, of course you got like the fat Faygo drinking Juggalo girls, you know, but they do have like a lot of like crazy.
Was that a
like,
reference to
hot,
Midwest Soda?
Yeah.
Like, got it.
They got a lot of like hot, like porn star looking chicks too. That's like real Juggalos, and they family. They down for the cause.
And there you hear Danny Brown talking positively about his experience at the Gathering of the Juggalos. Before we wrap up the Gathering of the Juggalos talk, I want to play a news clip I found from 2009, which they make it seem like this small community just went through hell, or like a zombie apocalypse rode through town, the community that the Gatherings held in. There was literally 20,000 plus people there, inebriated for 4+ days out in 100 degrees plus heat, and there wasn't one single fight or altercation. Yet all the news clips and the news agencies make it sound like that whole community just went through hell.
Hardin County authorities are still dealing with the impact of what's called the Gathering of the Juggalos.
This weekend, thousands of fans of the music group Insane Clown Posse converged on our region again. There were dozens of drug arrests and a close call, and the sheriff says maybe the event's not worth all the trouble. News 3's Ryan Kruger has the story.
Nearly 16,000 Juggalos left Hardin County Monday morning, and just like in years past, the concert kept police busy.
Had numerous traffic citations were issued, had a few traffic accidents, and around 20 drug arrests.
And another man was sent to jail after a close call with sheriff's deputies. Monday morning, security at the Hog Rock campground told authorities a man was walking around with a gun sticking out the front of his pants. Deputies approached the man, anticipating he was armed and dangerous. Turns out, the gun was a fake, but one deputy described the situation as a, quote, good way to get yourself killed.
When he saw the police come, he threw the gun in the weeds.
Okay, so I guess he was smart enough to do that.
He was smart enough to do that.
Hardin County Sheriff Tom Senior says that man was arrested and found to be in possession of drug paraphernalia, one of the many arrests that kept his department busy all weekend, but the work still isn't done.
When the event ends, you know, you would think that everything would calm down, right. But with as many children that come from the communities from all over the country, we get numerous calls from parents that are worried about their kids.
Crews from several area departments have to be called in to help with the annual event, which Senior says drains his budget.
It taxes my department greatly. It's definitely a burden on my department. I'd just as soon it goes somewhere else.
In Hardin County, Ryan Kruger, News 3.
And there you hear the prick-ass cop from Hardin County who was bitching like a nuclear war had just came through his community that weekend. Well, it took your pig budget away a little bit, but ask all those shop owners around that say how much they love Juggalos and how nice Juggalos were and how they were holding doors open for people that were coming into their shops that bought up all the supplies for the gathering, and I bet their businesses were popping. But yeah, the pig only cares about themselves, of course, unless the pigs can get some kind of new riot gear or something out of it. They don't want nothing to do with it. But basically, they had some traffic violations, some paraphernalia, and a fake gun. That was the most they could find to bitch about. A 4-day festival where 20,000 people were inebriated for 4 days, did whatever the fuck they wanted, and nothing happened. And that's the worst they could find. I worked at a bar here in Owensboro, Kentucky, where the capacity was 200 people, and those people couldn't get along for 5 hours from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. without getting into a fight, yet Juggalos all gather in the woods, party and wow out for 4 days, and it's nothing but love and peace, and that's just the magic of the gathering of the Juggalos. And what that's going to do is wrap up the gathering of the Juggalos talk right now. But like I said, this is due to be dropped on Fago Lovers October 30th, which is Devil's Night. Be the 19th year anniversary since I made my journey from Owensboro to Columbus, Ohio, to Detroit to see the 1998 Hallowicked 19-year anniversary since my first ever concert. So I definitely want to talk a little bit of Hallowicked.
Happy Hallowicked, motherfucker! Yeah, happy Hallowicked. What's up? Violent J, Evil Dead, Shaggy 2 Dope. We about to rip the motherfucking stage tonight.
And there you hear ICP welcoming you to Hallowicked. It was I do believe it was a Facebook video they did there when they were about to take the stage for Hallowicked. We'll do now. I've got a few Hallowicked intros pulled up that I was able to find, starting with 2006.
Hallows Eve, 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 Hallows
intro to Hallowicked 2006 as the Wicked Clowns continue the yearly tradition, which I like to call the Christmas for Juggalos. They even give us a present each year with one of those fresh singles that many of us collectors cherish every year and try to collect the whole collection. I want to run down the entire single run that they've put out thus far up until 2016, which is the latest one they've put out, up until tomorrow when they'll be releasing a brand new fresh one for all the Juggalos in attendance in Detroit for the all-day Hallowicked Festival, which if you're listening and you for some reason haven't heard about that and you can get to Detroit by Halloween, get there. That Hallowicket is off the hook. 94, they put out Dead Pumpkins. 95, it was Rotten Treats. 96, it was Witches and Warlocks, which contained Dead Pumpkins, Mr. Rotten Treats, Halloween on Military Street, and the Witches and Warlocks interview. 97 was Mr. Johnson's Head remix. 98, Pumpkin Carver, of course. 99, Sleepwalker. In 2000, that's the rarest one to find, is the 2000 single, because what they did is they gave away a box set with the ticket. It was I think it was $200 is what the ticket price was to get into Hallowicket, and plus you got this pimp ass box set which contained a CD with all the previous Hallowicket works on there. And then it had Toxic Love, Pumpkin Carver, Halloween on Military Street, Dead Pumpkins, Mr. Rotten Treats, Mr. Johnson's Head's remix, Sleepwalker, and Twisted's Juggalo Party, all on the Hallowicket album. You also got special versions of Bizarre Bazaar, which came out that day in 2000, on Halloween of 2000, and you also got a special edition of Freak Show, which came out also on Halloween, October 2000. So like I said, tons of freshness coming out in October, Halloween 2000 area for Juggalos to take up on. Also, it came with a t-shirt in it. It came with a certificate of authenticity, a few flyers, and it was a pretty pimp box for Juggalo collectors. It's one of the more rare things that's floating around and demands a pretty high price these days. Moving on to Hallowicket 2001, you had Every Halloween by ICP. You had Children of the Wasteland by Blaze, and Twisted put out Wait Till Halloween. 2002, you had the supervillain Silence of the Hams, and Blaze did his remake of Dead Body Man, which he called Dead Body Man 2000. 2003, one of the most infamous tours of Insane Clown Posse's entire run, the Wicked Willy Wonka tour. They put out Thug Pit in 2003. 2004 was Murder Cloak. 2005 was Wicked Halloween. 2006, you had Blood Red Rum, which you also got the instrumental. You got the regular cut and the instrumental cut. You got 2007, Evil is Afraid. 2008, I'm Your Killer. 2009, If I Ate Your Brains. 2010, you got another compilation which had ICP, This Halloween is Crazy. You had ICP with Scary Kids, and the Axe Murder Boys A&B with My House. 2011, I Saw a Monster. 2012, Amber Alert. 2013, you had ICP, Halloween Head, and Boondocks Devil's Night double release there with that single. And you had 2014, Red Howl Moon. 2015, Haunted by the Devil. 2016, Who You Know. 2017, to be announced tomorrow for people that are listening on the release date of this very episode, which is October 30th, 2017. But another thing they do at Hallowickets every once in a while, which is pretty cool, is they debut the brand new Joker's card and let you see the face of the Joker's card. And we're going to let you hear the 2014 Hallowicket when they debuted the marvelous Missing Link. Is the first time Juggalos ever laid their eyes on that Joker's card. there you hear the debut of the marvelous Missing Link from Hallowicked 2014. I think it's really cool how they do fresh things like that, like save the unveiling. They just don't put it out on the website or anything like that. They, even though in the age of the internet era, they know that somebody will take a picture and have it posted up on probably Fago Lovers or some Facebook site or something like that. Within 2 minutes, it's still fresh that they do it and present the actual Joker's card live. And this time at a Hallowicked, which is pretty cool. And just like they're doing this year, the fourth Joker's card of the second deck shall be debuted at Hallowicked 2017 at that all-day fest, which will feature ICP, Esham, ABK, Vanilla Ice, Light, Hoodoo, DJ Clay, Mikey Clark, and tons of other artists. Is keeping the freshness going all day for Hallowicked. It's 2 p.m. to 2 a.m., I do believe, is what this year's Hallowicked's running in Detroit. Halloween night 2017. If you're hearing my voice right now and you can make it to that shit, make it to that shit. And that's the only advice I got for you. But I was able to find some more Hallowicked intros, so I'm going to go ahead and run those now. Hallowicked 2012.
Little boys laugh 'cause they think it's just a dummy, but then the smell hits them. Crusty yellow toes up a dead
the intro to Hallowicked 2012, as the Wicked Clowns traditionally started with a Hallowicked song or one of their Wicked songs out of their catalog. As I remember, a Dead Body Man was also one that they would use at Hallowicked as well. We'll move it from 2012 into 2013. There you hear the 2013 intro to the Hallowicked Clown Show, Insane Clown Posse's yearly celebration of Halloween, now 2015.
child will feel human heads carved out with steel. Cut out the ice, man, it takes but a minute. Rip up the victim, put a candle in it. Maybe let it be, cause I think I'm inside. Somebody mother 2 years ago she died. Hear the boys laugh, cause they think it's just a dummy. But then the smell hits them, smells yummy. Open your bag and I give you my treat. Press the yellow toes off a dead woman's feet. Take me by the hand and I'll lead you downstairs. And that little chicken's where you spend the next 7 years. I've been weeping and chained to a wall. Staring at a roach, hoping it will crawl into your mouth for a tasty cuisine. Yes, my little friends, it's a dead pumpkin Halloween.
And there you hear Dead Pumpkin Halloween once again from Insane Clown Posse to kick off the 2015 festivities at Hallowicked. But what that's going to do right now is bring Chapter 14, Gathering of the Juggalos / bonus flavor Hallowicked info to an end. I want to remind you to check out FagoLovers.net every week, as we'll be dropping a brand new episode every Monday on Fago Lovers Gorilla Style.
Happy Hallowicked, motherfucker!